Hey! Oh, good morning. How the heck are you guys doing today?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, best day ever. Nadim, welcome to the channel. How are you, sir?
Thank you for the invite. I'm great, thanks. How about you?
Yes, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Truly the best day ever. Yeah, hashtag BDE. Although I found out hashtag BDE means something different. So,
Wait, do we need to look that up or should we
if you
avoid it?
do not do it from your company computer. That is,
Okay, well, that's a good way to start.
yeah, yeah. So there are
Oh
a
yeah,
handful of
happy Pi Day.
collectible Kratos BI best day ever hashtag BDE shirts that still have the hashtag on there out there. If you're one of the lucky few with that chase item, that has been removed from the store.
Maybe you could sell
Per
them on
HR.
maybe you could sell them on eBay for $1,000 as collector items. Oh
Oh,
no. Mark says
good.
he regretted asking.
Yeah. It's good to see everybody in the chat. Good to see everyone. Nadim, you have been in the chat many a time. But you might not be. Everyone might not know you. What's your handle? Where do you come from? Give us an introduction.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Nadim. I'm 34 and a bit years old, and I'm a senior analytics engineer. I started off studying accounting and business, started my career in Mexico City, and moved to Germany after that. Have been working with Microsoft BI since 2015, so over 10 years. Was right there when Power BI was released and jumped on it, and ever since have been fascinated by all the things that Microsoft offers in the BI field. Yeah.
Nice.
I also do a bit of YouTube and write some articles and stuff like that. Anything that comes to mind. Yeah.
So did you jump into Power BI? I think we were going to somewhere.
Yeah.
Else.
What just happened?
Yeah, I don't know. We're looking at all kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, so this weekend I'm going to see the West Side Story at the Fireside Theater. So,
all right. If you're in the area,
yeah, and if you've never been to the Fireside, it's amazing. It's a theater in the round. Have you ever been, Nadim? Have you ever seen a theater in the round before?
I have not.
Oh, okay. So, stage is in the center. People surround the whole thing, and so like all the scenes and stuff rise, or like the scenery and stuff rise out of the center of the stage, and the actors act. It's a great show. They do a nice dinner beforehand, and it's nice. But
Nice.
this is your YouTube channel, right? Power Egg.
Yeah.
Awesome. Holy cow! You got a good. Look at that, 13,000 subscribers. How amazing!
Yeah, I've been a bit slow lately, mostly because of workloads. This year is quite busy, but I'll get on it. Yeah, I'll keep going.
That's not shabby, my friend.
not at all.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking fabulous. Good job. So we'll post this. We'll post this into the chat.
So
get you some more subscribers. If you're not subscribed to Power Egg, you should be.
Yeah. So you were saying you started out as an accountant, and then got into the Microsoft stack and specifically Power BI, right? So were you trying to get better accounting report? I mean, there's a lot of people that have taken that path, right? And what kind of led into that?
So when I was studying accounting, the first year I was doing profit and loss statements, budgets manually, and I thought, yeah, it's quite cool. Still like school. Piece of paper doing some calculations and stuff. And then the second year, I just thought, when I started working more with computers and stuff, I just thought, like, this is not going to survive this manual process. And then I saw accountants using accounting software, and it just got a bit dry. I love math. I'm a big math fan. It fascinates me, but accounting was just not the future for me. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, good. And then we were talking beforehand. Over your shoulder, there's 2 shelves with little toys. What? It was kind of interesting. What is that all about?
Okay, so the 2 eggs are channel dedicated from Singapore.
Hmm.
This is a deck from Zebra BI, I think, and the ducks are gifts I get from my partner for every certification I accomplish to keep me motivated.
Nice.
I don't actually bathe with them. I just
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh,
Yeah.
good deal. Anthony, I love maths as well. Oh, good deal. And it's incredible the number of people that get into the field from a business background. Now, I have a theory on how and why that occurs. Any insights on your side, Nadim, of how or why we see a lot of that in the Power BI Fabric space?
It's just power attracts. You know, I was in Excel, quickly reached the limits of what was of medium-sized big data scenarios, and was doing stuff with VBA, and it was kind of tedious and slow. And then with Power BI, it was just a few clicks, and then all of a sudden, it opened this other world of state-of-the-art visualizations, data modeling, plugging into enterprise resource planning systems, CRM systems. That just you just get like hungry for more. Yeah, and Power BI offers that, or offered that at least. Yeah, now it's Fabric, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why I think people in the finance sector are so valuable and so successful in Power BI and Fabric. And I believe strongly it's because they know the data and what the data means and represents. And that fundamental base knowledge makes it so that it's very like it's easy to learn a handful of techniques to load and manage data. It's very hard to understand what that data means to be able to like proactively evaluate, understand context, understand the business meanings. And so therefore it is easier and better to take someone with a business or accounting background and train them up in some technology capabilities than it is to take someone with a deep technology understanding and train them on everything that a business needs to know. That's my theory. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the closing the gap between business and IT from people coming from an IT perspective or is more difficult. I mean, for example, a really technical person building a report in Power BI, you know, I was like, okay, this looks okay, but someone from a business perspective, you know, immediately started trying to tell stories with their data, look for KPIs to be able to make decisions. It was a whole different story. So, if someone from a business perspective gets really interested and actually starts understanding the IT stuff, I think that's super valuable. And they can communicate with the more technical IT personnel, and they can very easily communicate the requirements. So it's like it's bridging the entire gap between business and IT, I think.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And in fact, that bleeds right into our subject of the day, right? We're, you know, when I said, "Hey, Power Egg, you had a great post the other day," I thought, you know, you should come on and talk about some stuff. And whenever we have people on, we want them to talk about something that they're passionate about, that they've been thinking about. And you immediately jumped on, let's talk about roles in data, right? And so I'm kind of excited about getting into this. Oh my gosh, why am I not sharing? Come on.
You're not supposed to turn off sharing during the
I didn't turn off sharing. It just, I've got too many mice and too many computers. I need an assistant at some point.
Too many mice and too many computers.
I do. But Nadim, you sent this over to me, and we'll make this available for everyone, this presentation. So if you want to take on it, riff on it, this will be available for people. Walk us through the roles for a classic data platform.
Yeah, so a classic data platform will have connected but still independently managed systems. So you have silos, you have people doing infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, then you have the reporting, data modeling, preparing, and then the end user consumption. But this also means that we need more roles. We have people focused on certain subject matters. And that means that there's someone in charge for networkings, like the data platform engineer, for example. Then you have security compliance officer, things that software as a service simply doesn't require. But in the classical data platform, we still have that.
Yeah.
It also means we simply need more resources. We have more roles, right? We have we have like four pillars: infrastructure administration, data preparation and modeling, where you even have data engineer and a BI engineer coupled with an architect, and then in analytics and reporting, 4 different roles. Of course, the data scientist is always kind of optional, depending on how much value you actually want to generate with data in terms of forecasting, AI, and all that stuff. But the data analyst, the classical data analyst, data modeling, more in the end user scenario, closer to the end user consumption, the business analyst and the decision maker. This would be in the business part of an organization. The decision maker, of course, being leaders, communicating their requirements. The business analyst translating these into requirements for the reports, maybe even doing some self-service reporting, and then kind of that's why it's like hierarchical in terms of how the process actually goes from data. Yeah, so from deploying the infrastructure to ETL, even ELT now, analytics reporting to the end user consumption. And this is 12 roles. This is a lot.
Yeah, and I'd honestly even potentially say that your data scientist would be a completely different team than this, right?
Yeah.
So, if you think about your organizational structure, these are teams that you would have with one team on the infrastructure, potentially a couple data prep teams, a few more analytics teams, and then many end user business teams, and then a data science team. And you've got all this like overhead that comes with that, right?
Yeah, you need a team lead, you need the developers. It's and then they have to communicate. Then you have to use DevOps for code deployment, and then you need DevOps specialists, and yeah, it gets huge.
Yeah. No, I like this. This is a good diagram, but this is our classic, right? And this is what we've kind of struggled with. You've kind of come up with 4 roles that are critical to the modern platform. You want to talk me through these?
Yeah. So the whole infrastructure and platform as a service roles are gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to worry about deploying the platform itself. We don't have to worry about potentially about things like we have a user interface that we can use, so you can deploy databases, lake houses in a matter of a few clicks. That means that these roles are not, I wouldn't say they are essential anymore. I think a data engineer, specifically an analytics engineer, which is kind of the role we just previously touched on, where someone from business goes more into engineering, into IT. So this is the kind of where the magic happens, I suppose, in terms of communicating the business requirements to the engineering requirements. I think that these two roles, the engineer and the analytics engineer, are the big two roles in a modern platform. They can do most of the stuff that we can do today, that in terms of requirements, right? Let's say you have things even like low code, no code AI integration. Yeah, the data engineer, the analytics engineer could even do that. You wouldn't even need an AI engineer anymore for that. The citizen developer is kind of like a two-faced coin. It's the either the self-service analyst or more of a reporting typical data analyst role, where they still kind of go into data modeling, some DAX maybe, but there's always also the citizen developer that is completely low code, no code. So they would use Copilot Studio, Copilot and Power BI, AI integration. They wouldn't even potentially know. There's some knowledge that's necessary for data modeling, but perhaps even that the analytics engineer can do. And the citizen developer uses a live connection to the data model, and they just simply focus on visualizing. And then there's the decision maker, of course. That's always the role, that the person that consumes the report, understands the stories, hopefully can make a decision within seconds of looking at the report. 1-2 clicks gets the answer, no more. No half an hour interacting with the report to get what they need. I think that's not the modern reporting anymore. Then there's one role that's just not there, which I feel a little bit bad about, but that's also the UX UI designer, between citizen developer and decision maker. But it's optional. I see so many.
Well, and hang on 1 second. Let's not. I don't want to skip over the importance of adding into the decision maker into this process, because what you had on the previous slide was the classic design and build, but there wasn't a decision maker there. This is saying that the business and the people consuming information is a critical part of the team when it comes to building analytics and data products. Is that right? Am I off on that, or is that
decision maker was on the previous slide?
Was it?
Yeah, it was at the very end. The end consumption.
Oh yeah, okay. Consumption. You did have that. My bad.
Yeah. Okay. So the decision maker really never goes away. I mean, that's
why
a lot of this happening. So
the role changes, right?
Yeah.
It's different in a modern platform. You make decisions differently, more quickly, short communication lines.
But you see that fitting in this ways, right?
Yeah. So exactly. So the business analyst being optional now. So this is the next slide, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So so everything that's in parentheses is optional. Yeah. So that's what we mentioned exactly. The citizen developer being on both, either more technical and can do some modeling, or less technical, self-service, focusing more on the reporting side, or both.
So starting over from the far side, the infrastructure and administration, right? So we left the same terms up there, but infrastructure in the Fabric world totally changes, right? I mean, so
Yeah.
what are we redefining infrastructure to mean in the fabric world here?
Yeah, it's just a click. It's everything happens in the background.
Yeah.
Whether you want to understand it or not is completely optional. Either way, it will work. The analytics engineer or data engineer, you literally you search for the lakehouse, the SQL database, you click create, you name it, and it's done. That's the incredible. A single person can set up an entire end-to-end data platform architecture, at least from the creating the infrastructure and administering it, without any in-depth infrastructure knowledge that was previously necessary. So
it's not the classical term anymore, right? It's not standing up servers and network, or I mean, there may be some of that depending on how much you need to go into VNets, for other type of security and things like that. But it is greatly reduced, which, if you need to go that far, then you probably bring in the optional architect role. But I think the focus in this box now becomes a whole lot more administration, right? Trying to think through your security model, definitely workspace layout, right? I mean, have you seen mostly, the workspace layout falling to the data engineer or analytics engineer over in this space?
Yeah, I mean, from a personal experience, designing the architecture and fabric, maybe the first time, the second time you work with an architect, but then you kind of got it. It's not like it's rocket science, but yeah, I mean, as someone mentioned as well, you still need good admins. Absolutely agree. Yeah, so the monitoring is also a topic, right, in the modern platform. That's still something that's necessary. But depending on it, you can automate that stuff as well. And yeah, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Question on the administrator.
Yes.
And we're going to take this one to the chat. So hang on. We're going to talk about administrator in Fabric. Should the administrator in Fabric be, and let's say you've got two choices here. A, the Azure tenant administrator who has nothing to do with Fabric or data or analytics, but controls all of Azure at the organization? Or is it better to have a shared resource who is responsible for Fabric to play part duty of administrator, even if they're 100% committed to development, and maybe they're, as Donald said, following the 3P3 space where they're analytics engineer, they're data engineer, they're all of this stuff. If they're all those capabilities, is it better for it to be in a shared hands of an individual who doesn't have time to be the admin, or the administrator who doesn't know anything about Fabric?
It's a tough one now.
He set it up. Come on. He set it up. It's not a tough one the way he asked that question.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much discussion in the community about actually understanding capacity resource usage, transparency on what item costs how much in terms of CU seconds, and really understanding that. So it's more of an understanding than really administrating, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's still what falls. I think, we're still kind of helping define what's in that infrastructure and administration, right? Is because of the billing model, you buy a capacity and you have, X number of CUs. What you're doing on these projects now is managing, like you mentioned, managing what you utilize to keep your CUs down, to get the most out of the ones that you bought, right? Because cost means something different, right? My cost never goes up on the capacity until the next price increase. but I could take up all that capacity so that it's no longer usable, and I have to make an intentional decision to move up, right? And so I think it's CU management falls a lot under that infrastructure and administration.
I mean, who's going to be responsible if you get throttled? You need to point at someone.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's the data engineers and analytics engineers that you had in that box, right? It's not the overall Azure administrator. I think taking the way Chris asked that question, I mean, it's quite obvious. And in my personal opinion, I always found that when you have a group that is just the Azure, or even a person that is the Azure administrator, they tend to fail. Because if you even look at it from a SQL database standpoint, they will set up the SQL database and immediately turn it over to the DBAs, right? And then it's the DBA's responsibility to manage it within that. If they're not doing the same type of thing with Fabric, sure, they could set up and say, here's the capacity we bought and what subscription it's going to go on to and everything. They should immediately turn that over to the team, or somebody within the team that is handling the Fabric solution.
And there's no autoscaler, right? So you can't relax and let it go. If things go wrong, you need to manually interact, or you might have some app or something that does it. But it's one of the pain points. It still takes intense monitoring. If especially in the beginning phase until things start rolling. Things get added. Yeah. So you got, like, let's say Copilot has to be constantly monitored because it costs resources. If someone sets off a Gen 2 data flow and it crashes the capacity, who's going to be responsible for that? But now I think they're adding more capabilities where you can, in the settings, if you understand it well, make sure to limit these things, to put a ceiling on what how many resources can be used even in a workspace and stuff. So it's becoming more user friendly and more automated. So I guess in the future, or in the near future, you need less manual monitoring interaction. So the role of an actually dedicated Fabric admin, I don't know.
Yeah, but I think in a way we're agreeing, right? You got to have somebody that's invested in it, right? Somebody that even knows to put in the Fabric app, the monitoring app, and is going to look at it on a periodic basis, right? And Chris, I don't know if you want to bring up Anthony's comment, right? I think we find this in a lot of places that somebody is the admin, the analytics engineer. He's probably even the data engineer and the Power BI developer. All those roles, those 4 roles that you put out there, a lot of companies try to fit it all within one actual person.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm in agreement with that. It needs to be, even if that person has no time whatsoever for the administration and doesn't do anything on a day-to-day basis to administer the platform, it needs to be someone who's deeply committed to the platform and working in the platform on a day-to-day basis. In fact, I would contend that is the absolute best person for it, because just like a farmer who has to get their hands in the dirt and the soil to be able to grow plants and have a good harvest, I think if you're going to harvest good data results, you've got to have your hands in the soil, in Fabric. You've got to be working in it. You've got to know the feel for your refreshes every day. You've got to, as Donald was saying earlier, sorry, I woke up, I was dealing with some pipeline issues, right? Like, it has to be someone who's intimately has their feet planted firmly in that work, to know when there's issues, to know that Fabric SQL's coming out, and all of a sudden that toggle's going to switch. Do you need that toggle to be on, off? Should it be limited? How should you have that set up, right? Like, you need someone who's intimate with the platform to manage the platform. Is my contention.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Cool. Good. So I kind of set that one up because I have strong feelings on that. But you guys came to the same conclusions that I had there, right?
Yeah, so let's go into this data preparation and modeling, right? So we carry over some of the same roles. We have the optional role. So what?
So we covered analytics engineer, we covered data engineer. What about this one? What's your thoughts and concept here on the citizen data engineer for data prep?
Yeah, so I've mixed feelings about this one because, of course, you want to democratize, you want to enable everyone, you want to bring BI closer to non-technical users. But we also want to do stuff as far upstream as possible. So the previous role of a citizen developer of doing all the stuff in Power BI and everyone having different versions of different truths of the same data is something we want to avoid. So now we're doing stuff with Fabric. We have the ability to do it further upstream, which would that mean that would fall into the analytics engineer or data engineering role. So the citizen developer now has things like Copilot as an aid, and they can focus more on the report side of stuff. Yeah, so they might not necessarily do the data prepping and modeling, which could happen in Fabric on the you don't want to do calculated columns anymore. You want to do that in the lake house, maybe even using notebooks, data flows. So all that stuff is moving further up, and you're trying to keep your report more lightweight. Even with Direct Lake now limiting all the stuff you can do, right? With a Direct Lake connection, the citizen developer can barely do anything these days. They really rely on everything being prepared beforehand. So I would say it's more the citizen developer now is more focusing on really understanding the stories that are told with the data, focusing more on the business side of what answers do we want to give, questions do we want to answer with the data, what decisions need to be made to really get the value out of the data and communicate that rather and let maybe the engineer or the analytics engineer role will be more focusing on the prepping and modeling.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And, you had it as, some places look at bringing the citizen developer up to this data prep and modeling part, is optional. But if you take that and you could get them to be involved a little bit more further upstream, as you keep saying, I think your upstream solution gets improved greatly, right? Because they're using it earlier, they're contributing into some of the things they're probably excited because they're learning something new, right? You may even get them into, what does this look like in the data engineering world? Oh, I want to learn the Python. I keep hearing all about this and everything. And so they get excited about it and contribute a whole lot more. And I think you have a better upstream solution. So I totally agree with what, showing it optional there, but, try to use it too, right?
And I think this is also, and this kind of plays in with VR Moto's suggestion about architects working as a Power BI architect for the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the path that people take from the business into the IT or classic space, right? Nadim, when you came out of finance and started to work here, did you think that, or do you think you went straight from finance to a full on engineer, analytics engineer, or was there a transition period where you were kind of a citizen architect, a citizen analytics engineer, a citizen data engineer?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a step-by-step process, right? First Excel, and then you learn things can get really complex in Excel really quickly. And if you see that you get more interested in that stuff, try out Power BI. If you see that it gets even more interesting and you feel like you're able to get insights much faster than before, and you start understanding more of the front and back end idea of a BI system, understand things like data marts, even go into data modeling, understand the importance, then yeah, absolutely. Then you step by step move into it. But you have to be interested. And honestly, like when I did that when I went down that path, it was a bit more tedious to learn VBA, right? You had to go through blogs and I don't know, like Excel stuff, like try to saw together these different functions and try to make it work. Now you just ask ChatGPT
and hope you get the right answer.
Yeah, but it's a learning, right? You get an answer, and then you can ask it to explain the answer, and then you're done. You learned it. It's so quick now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not totally bought in. I asked it something the other day and totally gave me an answer I couldn't use. And so, yes, prompt engineering is a whole nother show, right? Of trying to say how to get the right answers. So,
yeah.
Well, okay. So
we could totally go off course.
That
on
is
this,
a whole
right?
nother show. Let's...
I could even tell you something I ran into on Reddit, and then the guy deleted the post because of the way he asked ChatGPT something about fabric. So, call me if you want to know.
All right. Let's take a look and let's talk about analytics and reporting, right? And so here, Nadim, boy, Christina, thanks for the tip on the whole like control shift for
she's
the
like
arrow.
changed your world today.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. So, okay. So, hang on a second. Anytime you learn something new like this, which is going to require muscle memory, try to do it 20 to 50 times as fast as you possibly can, because then you imprint that stuff in your memory. So that's why you're like, be in for the Red Arrow live stream today. We're going to be learning. We're going to be diving deep into that. So.
All right. I'm going to go do it on my screen that you guys can't see just for fun then.
There you go.
All right. On to analytics and reporting and the roles within that.
Yeah. So I think we've covered analytics engineer. You've covered this citizen developer, but no longer optional, right? You said it was optional over here in the data modeling prep, this side of the face. You're calling this is a critical role in this space, right?
Yes, big time.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, let's talk about what are the other optional roles that you see inside of this space. It looks like you've identified data scientists, data analysts, and AI engineers. I'm going to ask, I'm going to go, I understand data scientists. That makes sense to me. I'm going to put a question mark on this one. Why is the data analyst an optional role for in your mind?
Because if you previously were a data analyst and you now work with Fabric, you're kind of forced into analytics engineering. So I think the role evolves. If you already know the data modeling, the DAX and stuff, then you're going to so quickly learn the engineering part of Fabric. You're going to start using notebooks in no time, understand the transforming the data, because you did all that with Power Query before. So now it's just a really steep learning curve. So I think that the data analyst role is being pushed towards a more technical engineering kind of role, at least on the SaaS platform. Yeah, that's why I believe the classical, you're either now a business analyst or a citizen developer, or you become an analytics engineer. You take on the next step. Yeah.
All right, I like that. And I mean, classically, I think we understand, or data scientists have been around for a long time, so that makes sense to me. Data analysts, you've explained that. Explain to me, what is an AI engineer in this context?
Yeah. So, of course, if you want to include things like AI Foundry and actual AI solutions, you still need an AI engineer. But now, Fabric got it was first preparing us for AI with this AI out of the box chat interface with Copilot. But now, if you get an AI engineer and they come with knowledge on how to index things, on how to fine tune models, how to even understand models, they can really work magic in your notebook by calling OpenAI. For example, if an F64, using AI functions that are new, using something like AI skill and training that, giving instructions, putting sample queries, understanding JSON and how to train the models, they can add incredible value. So I think AI engineer, it's of course optional, yeah, depending if you go big on an F64 and you want to leverage that whole value that AI has to offer, but it's optional, but I think it's super valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, and that the new AI skill, I think, falls into that as well, right? How to best utilize the AI skill, set that up, get that going. So, but you're 100% right. Is you have to you have that entry point of that F64 or above
Yep.
to use that, and then that gets kind of back to the earlier part of the role that you even mentioned is once you get to the F64, and if you decide to turn on Copilot, boy, that could really jump off to your CUs. So you better have a good communication with your administrators because it could very easily change that you need multiple capacities just to keep your other solutions running. So,
yeah.
Well, that is an absolute fantastic a question here.
I didn't see the question.
What should your Fabric capacity breakouts be? Should you just have a singular large? I mean, in the context of this modern SaaS data platform, and you have capacities that are dedicated, or you could either have capacities that are dedicated, either one capacity that does everything or dedicated capacities. What is your thought and philosophy on when we look at this and how we should organize our capacities?
Oh, that's complex. I mean, you can have developer capacity, smaller capacity, productive capacity. You can have regional capacities. You could have domains, workspaces to different capacities, depending on separating in terms of region or what you need. So I don't have a straight answer. I would have to say it depends. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably does depend a whole lot, right? But Dax is going a little bit crazy, so Chris has got to take care of that. So yeah, I mean, it seems like all the conversations where I start out with somebody is they want to get a capacity,
Yeah.
and I usually kind of I'll kind of put it out there that that may not be the best solution, right? But for cost management or whatever, they seem to want to do that and go, well, we'll just keep moving up to an F64. So,
Yeah.
Mark answering about my Dax question, where it was Dax the dog, not Dax the language. But so
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine.
So
So then,
Dax is the. Hang on. No, we're going here. Dax is straight up the most laid back, doesn't give a rip dog.
He's
Like,
never barked like that before.
oh no, like there have been a handful of times where something has alerted him, and it has always been like like, look, he's guarding me right here. There's the pest control guy is over, and he must smell a certain way, and he is like on fire about that guy. So
Too much. So we're still kind of going down the capacity type of thing. So as I was saying, a lot of people that I talk to start off with, they want to buy a capacity, and trying to teach them right from the beginning that you probably want to think about multiple capacities is a very hard thing. So I see that as a, you know, and it's a conversation that evolves over time, right? And then start showing them some of the things from the metrics and why you might want, you know, two different capacities. And you know, I have one of my customers that is just a small F2, and while I was doing things in development, I would easily take it all up. And so I had, you know, a second one at times that I would just fire up and use a different workspace to try to keep the other production one going on, and then shut it down. But you have to keep thinking about those type of things. And especially once you get up to F64 and just say, let everybody go and do whatever, you're going to, you kind of mentioned it earlier. Who do you point the finger to, right? You got to have somebody that's watching it. So,
and I want to remind people, if you're on this, some of you will have worked in a Databricks or a Snowflake environment, or one of the other modern cloud tools that are out there. It is not uncommon in the Snowflake or Databricks world for you to have dozens, if not hundreds, of compute clusters or warehouses that you're tracking and managing your billing on. Fabric's promise is that it makes it much easier, right? You consolidate a lot of your things, but that doesn't mean you should consolidate all of the things, right?
right.
Consolidating everything, that's too much on the extreme, right? Have some breakout, the ability to do some of these things. I think it's going to be important, right? Like I cannot wait for the day where we are able to dedicate capacities to different workloads. Like, hey,
Yes.
this is my data engineering capacity, and I've got it scaled to the right size. Maybe it's an F2, maybe it's an F16, maybe if it's an F32 or whatever it happens to be, right? My data engineering capacity is scaled appropriately. My analytics and reporting capacity is scaled appropriately, right? And often that starts at an F64 level because that's where you get free report users. But heck, I'd also like to think there'll be a day where we'll have a Fabric per user license, and maybe we just use Fabric per user licenses on that side too, right? Like, like that makes a ton of sense. And a day for data science and Copilot capacities, right? And these things are going to come in. It all really depends on how much money you're spending in the cloud to begin with. And what are we seeing with Fabric? We're seeing the consolidation of cloud capabilities into Fabric. $5,000 a month is not an enormous cloud spend bill, right? Lots and lots of companies are spending way more than that. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to do in Fabric or in the cloud. I'm sorry, in the cloud, in Azure, in AWS, in Google, to be easily dropping 5K, 10K, 30K, 100K a month. It's just constant, right? And with that, yes, Marcus is exactly right. Please make sure, I've posted several times about it in the last 24 hours. There is a idea to go vote up Fabric per user licenses out there. Please go do that. Also, if you see any of the people at FabCon that's coming up, it's a great time to be out there asking, saying, hey, we need Fabric per user, right? Nadim, any thoughts on a Fabric per user license?
Oh, please. I mean, try explaining someone. Yeah, up to F64, you also need Power BI individual licenses, but you can also have a premium per user. And oh no, that's just one per user license. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even on an F64, right, you still need some pro licenses for the people that are publishing. And so, yeah, licensing conversations get very complex because, you can't just say, oh, you get to the F64, you don't have to have any pros. No, you still got to have a small percentage, right?
Yeah.
Managing them.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the. I understand the differentiation between AI capabilities because of the expense and GPUs that they only unlock at a certain level. But you can do two different per user license types, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's going to get easier and cheaper because we got the quantum computers coming out now, right? So.
Oh yeah, then it'll be just like no big deal, right? Well,
I mean, there's new matter in the world, so it's all.
It'll be fine, right?
It'd be cheap within a month, I'm sure.
Now we only have just a couple minutes left, so I'm going to share just quickly and briefly share the last 3 slides that are in this deck that we're going to make available for you. But in general, Nadim, can you just talk to the value of all of this information that you've kind of created for us, and why people should be looking at and thinking about this?
Yeah, I mean, you can of course go down the path and look at the certifications and define your career path and roles, but I did this because I believe that it gives you a good overview of what responsibilities you're looking at in what role. So let's take, for example, the data engineer, DevOps. Yeah, the analytics engineer doesn't really need DevOps. Not would be better, but doesn't really need it. More on the ELT side in the modern data platform. So these are all the modern data platform roles. Yeah, we have modeling, governance, no dedicated governance users, but the knowledge, what you need to know. That column is supposed to kind of build on the responsibilities, and then what languages. Yeah, of course, some things are optional. As an AI engineer, I suppose you kind of need to know Python, but as a data engineer, I don't know, maybe you do everything in PySpark, or you don't do SQL. But then the tasks is the interesting stuff. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? So orchestrating pipelines, something that's super rewarding. For again, engineer and analytics engineer working together, they can do amazing stuff. So if you're a data analyst, you're looking to work towards more automating stuff, then KQL as well, of course. I didn't put that, but that would be something as well for real-time intelligence. And then the architect kind of needs to know everything, of course. And the citizen developer, like we mentioned earlier, simplified version. DAX. That's it.
Oh, that's awesome. And then the last thing we want to hit on, just in the briefest sense, is this is your concept for what a Fabric Center of Excellence should have in its roles. And these aren't necessarily dedicated roles, right?
Yeah, no, this is from the official documentation that you can find in the Microsoft Learn portal. So it's the Fabric Center of Excellence. Before we had Power BI Center of Excellence. Now it's a bit bigger, but it's like leadership, development, training, and support. I just kind of structured it, and of course Center of Excellence leader. But then it becomes much more complex, right? Centralized, decentralized, Center of Excellence. But these are just the big roles that you can have in a Center of Excellence. Depends how big your organization is. Depends on many things, how many roles you actually need. Could be that there's an entire team of data engineers. in the center of excellence. Yeah.
Well, and can I also say, these are potentially the hats that you should, if you're in a smaller organization, make sure you've got these hats defined and make sure you understand who wears what hats. Maybe one person owns the hat of data modeler, data engineer, right? And another person owns the hat of report creator and data analyst. But just being aware that these are the hats that are out there would also make you aware of what are the things as for each hat that I need to be able to go out there and create. So I think this is very important.
Well, and kind of just as we're wrapping up, to jump on Sanjay's comment, right? There's no clear job description for any of these roles, and you tend to see job postings where they'll mix all those roles together, right?
Yeah.
And if we could get the HR people, the hiring managers, to kind of understand that sometimes you do need multiple people to do this. You may be able to blend one or two, but I don't think you could, even at all four that we just talked about in the fabric architecture, it's pretty hard to blend all of that into a particular person. So,
yeah. All right, awesome. We are basically at time. It's been another rip-roaring conversation. Nadim, super excited to have you on the show. It's really got me jacked up to get started on a Friday. Love all these conversations. I'm gonna let you take us out. What word of advice would you give to people? Where can they find you? And just go ahead, talk to the audience, let them know where you're at. Okay.
Yeah, so LinkedIn, right, is the go-to platform. I get all my IT news on LinkedIn. I started doing articles on LinkedIn, sharing stuff on LinkedIn. So if you're looking to connect, LinkedIn is the go-to platform. I will post everything that I find interesting, and I would love to connect with you, talk about stuff on LinkedIn. Yeah. So thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh,
thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thank you guys all. And thank you, the people in the chat. Yeah, point at the camera, Kevin. There you go. Thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope you have the best weekend ever and that you can come back and meet us again next week. And hey, new announcement, members only features coming out. And this is something going to be exclusive to members. I'm going to be live streaming to members anytime I go to build a Power BI video. I'm going to start live streaming it just to the members. So you can actually see the entire process. You can talk with me, chat with me about any of the content. This is going to be completely and totally unscripted and untimed. And I don't know if anyone will be able to just randomly hop on videos, but that's what we're going to be doing. So if you want to be able to dial in and take advantage of that, become a member, and you'll get alerted and notified when I go live. All right. Thank you guys all. Peace.
Peace.
Baker Tilly Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.